Good evening, all. And I'm just going to say, I don't think I'm ever going to get tired of really dramatic music to start a stream, but that's just my thing. So good evening. Hopefully you can all hear me. Everything seems to be all right my end. I'm hoping it is the same for you. But good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever time of day it is for you. To Teapot, to Notorious, welcome in, shippers. Good to see you. And anyone and everyone else who is also lurking. It's been a bit of a late start today. I do apologise by that. Or for that rather. Couldn't figure out why my sound was working or the levels were right, and then I completely forgot that this comes out. So it was dangling down by my chair, and I was like, "Why was it not working?" But we've solved it, so it's fine. Drinkers with technical problems, it is. So day 2 of IAE. Then we are about now 10 minutes from switching over to Origin and Origin Day sales and everything else, because we have a very, very high kind of number of people who are familiar with the game. I hadn't intended to go running around the expo hall. I took my Perseus back to Area 18 yesterday after the stream and the early hours of this morning, stocked her up, so she has now a fully stocked armory. The captain's cabin's got all the guns in it, apart from one I took out to do stuff with. And yeah, really enjoying stocking up the Perseus. One of the things I have found is the weapon rack at the back of the bridge. The pistol slots will accept weapons fine. The actual rifle slots don't seem to accept anything. So I've tried a P8 SC. I tried an R97 shotgun. It wouldn't take either of those. So I thought, okay, maybe it's a utility slot, despite the fact it very clearly says weapon racked. And it doesn't take those either. So go figure. So hopefully they'll fix that. But basically, everything says, it says or inappropriate item when I go to load it into the weapon rack at the back of the Perseus bridge. So that's where we are with that. I prefer drinkers with whiskey. Absolutely enjoy your whiskey if that's what you're doing, because it's Friday and you won't be working, Edison. Is that right? How's your pet whale? I checked after the hotfix just in case we discovered something, Teapot. It's still there, so they didn't patch it out. I think it might need its own short, and then we spread the saga. And I've only said that because Space Saga walks in. We spread the mystery of the Perseus whale, or the fact of the Perseus whale, depending on your look at it. So yes, Space Saga, welcome in. Kalnor, welcome in, friend. Good to see you. Yeah, looking forward to seeing what's out today. Obviously, we're not expecting any new ships. Now, what we do know, having run round the expo hall, there was no Hermes, so the Hermes was a red herring. That doesn't mean it's not coming, but given the fact that very little has been said aside from a leak, I think we'll chalk that one up to being a myth, something of a Yeti. People say that exists, but you've never actually seen one. And we'll shelve that in the corner for the time being. The MDC is confirmed. It's in the expo hall, as is the Clipper, and as is the very, very oddly named Golem Ox, which someone said about it before IAE, and I'd only just heard the name, and I was like, no, that's not a real thing. And I fell into this trap, if you remember, with the Misk Fortune. I thought that was a little bit too on the nose for Star Citizen. Turns out I was wrong about that too. So who knew? Streamers are just kind of real people who, on occasion, get things wrong. But the Golem Ox very much looks like just an upsized MPUV cargo. External rack, very similar to the Raft, carrying 64 SCU of cargo. Doesn't look like it should fit that much, but it does, apparently. So yeah, we're expecting that potentially on Drake Day, which is tomorrow, if I remember rightly. I'm gonna shift across to the. Excuse me. Cool. I've had a day again. So I'm literally, I've just come back from the shops because I had to pick up some stuff for this evening. I still have my shoes on. So there. That's where we are. Viper Leo, welcome in, my friend. Good to see you. So I'm just going to jump across now to the schedule. If I can remember which of my oddly named scenes it is. There we go. So I'm not in a great place here, am I? So I'm just going to grab that feature, and we are going to across the other side. There we go. I think that's kind of like the place. Being in this corner is probably the place where I'm most out of the way, I think. Am I now in the top right-hand corner as you look at the screen for everyone? Has that worked? I can't see. I'm not in studio mode. Let's find out. I've flipped it. Yes, I am. Good. So, tomorrow being Drake, 2 ships again, the Clipper and the Golem Ox. We then have Apoa, Banu, Asperia, Gatak, and Grays, which we're not expecting anything new for. And then the following day, we have Misk, Mirai, and Kruger, and obviously Kruger will be the day for the Alpha Wolf. And then coming into where's Grey Cat gone? Where are you, Grey Cat? Am I missing the Grey Cat? Am I blind? They've not actually put it on. Oh no, they have. I'm staring at it. So we've got the Anvil Aerospace Day, Grey Cat and Gershel. I don't know why the background keeps doing that on that page, so let's close that. That was doing it yesterday as well. That's really frustrating. I really like the Clipper, says D Chippy. I'll be buying that tomorrow. Do you know what? When I looked at that, that is hands down, even with the Scorpius doing the X-Wing thing and the Guardian doing the TIE Fighter Interceptor thing, that Clipper is hands down the most Star Wars ship they have done without a shadow of a doubt. So there. And here's the other thing I've not done yet. I've not actually listened to the podcast. Did anyone listen to the podcast? What do we think? Did we like? Did we not like? What are people's thoughts? Persh, this is so good, says Dark Lord. Welcome in, Dark Lord. Welcome in, Wastelanders. And D Chippy, if I didn't say hello to you. Yeah, there's that. Picked up a CCU for the Arastra. Awesome, Teapot. Nice. 3 ships on Teapot's list for this IAE. Ox, Clipper, and the New Wolf, the Alpha Wolf from Kruger. Yeah, absolutely. Guardian MX gives me last Starfighter vibes personally. Nice. Yep, I can see how you've got there. Awesome. So yes. Notorious. Sitting on the fence as always. The Clipper is quite possibly the ugliest vehicle I have ever had the displeasure of casting my eyes upon. Well, I mean, I just think, Notorious, that if you continue to sit on the fence, it's going to be really bad for you. I think you should just say what you really mean. There is certainly an ugly beauty about it. Yes, it is, and that's what makes it break. Said Teapot. Yeah, absolutely. Chippy says, I really want the Pioneer. Fingers crossed for this year, just to be quick. Just have to be quick, lol. Oh, you're going to be in the F5 race, are you, Chippy? Awesome. Hopefully you've seen the F5 the times that it's going to go live. If not, let me know. We'll call it up on the Spectrum page. But fingers crossed for you, mate. If that's what you're after, I really, really hope you get it. Yeah, awesome. See, you're all set. You're all set. Good. That's good news. Fantastic. And we are not, because he's not here, so I can't embarrass him. We are not talking about the recruiter friend bonus. So there. Quick refresh from yesterday. Obviously, the Meteor, mere moments left. We are 4 minutes now from the refresh to pick up your Meteor. I believe the War Bond deals go out on each day, so we will lose this. £20 off the Meteor from 260 down to 240. Ship value plus tax, I believe, if you're buying it for new. So yes, there's that. Yeah, Rash has put the waves in chat just for anyone. Obviously, D Chippy knows where he is, but if anyone is that D Chippy or is that DC Hippie? I'm sorry if I'm getting that wrong. I'm just yeah. So that someone used Badger's code so he gets a Star Kit bike. Shut up, Teapot. That's definitely not already happened. So you can stop. So it's D Chippy. Good. I'm pleased. I was just really worried that I was getting that wrong, and you're like, this idiot can't get my name right. So so unfortunately, this may have happened this morning. Dell, I know you're going to watch this if you're not here already. This is entirely Dell's fault. So to pay him back, he had to suffer this picture this morning. Yes, I'm wearing shoes, my underwear, the concierge hat, and the monocle. And I thought, if I've got to suffer having that thing, in my hangar, then he has to suffer looking at me like that. Well, my digital self. That would be a lot more horrific if that was me in person. It's not a six pack; it's a keg, if you know what I mean. But yes, so there's that. I just don't. I don't want anyone else to think it would be funny to buy the code and not know that I already had it. So that's the only reason I've done that. But please, 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 the generosity is amazing. But don't go buying stuff thinking that it's gonna be like, ha ha ha, we got him, and I've already been got. So there's that. Yeah. So that oh my god, badges, that is so you. Shut up, Stack, you banned. I know I just accepted your org invite along with a bunch of others that I missed, so sorry. But if you keep that up, you're out. Alright? Looks like that's what you'll be wearing for Origin Day. Malemba, you're well, first of all, welcome in. Same to you, Stack. Secondly, thank you. I answer to most things. Same. So yeah. I might have logged out wearing all of that, which is somewhat worrying. Okay, so quick refresh. Let's see where we are, because we are just on, I think, the limit. But I'm going to spam the button anyway. Here we go. This is my F5 war, is making sure that I get this early enough that you guys don't go, this is rubbish, she's not on the right page, and leave. So I'm just going to keep refreshing. Apologies for... Do you know what? Let's make that a little bit less aesthetically pleasing by just giving you my face to deal with whilst I frantically spam that. That's what the flashes are. It's the video. But as soon as we get it, I promise we'll go back to the nice-looking ships and you won't have to put up with badges. Good morning, Mornstar. Welcome in. Can, hello, my friend. Neil, good to see you. I mean, I can waste money upgrading it, right? I can waste money upgrading it. It's just a bad investment. And funny enough, that's the other thing that we are going to be talking about today. So we're going to have a look at Origin. Obviously, we're not expecting much, and that's fine. You can't have new shiny stuff every day. You can apparently every month now, according to CIG, because that's what they've pulled off this year. But, I said, but, oh no, you can't. It's not an upgrade. Is it not? Oh, fuck. And I can't melt it. I can't do anything. I'm stuck with that horrific looking thing. It's up, is it? Thank you very much, Rash. That's appreciated. Okay, so there we go. Right, so Origin jump works. Let's jump back across and see what's around. But just to finish that thought, so we are where we are. So here is what we are, or I was looking at. Oh, this is interesting. Right, we're going to come back to this because we're going to have a look at my CCU game today. So, for those that are new here, for those that haven't heard this before, apologies to those that have. I do not give financial advice. I do not like saying you should or should not buy this ship. I'm more than happy to farm that question out to people in chat. If people ask me, you know, should I upgrade this? Should I upgrade that? Look, this is a hobby, and sometimes you will see a ship and it will go against all logic. People will be like, yeah, but it's ugly and this thing does it better and that, but you want it. And the problem with a hobby is that if you want it, you go and get it, as long as, you know, you're not unable to pay rent or feed yourself or whatever it is that you need to do, and people want to do that, and that's fine. Just because I picked up a camera and a microphone and some lights and sat here and started talking to you guys does not qualify me to tell you what to do with your money. So what I will do is I will talk about my money, and I will talk about how I play the CCU game, how it looks for me. None of that is intended to do anything other than tell you about how the CCU games worked. What I'm not doing is I'm not offering advice, anything like that. There are some channels out there that are very, very good at it. There are some people who are very, very good at it. My hobby is very much driven by what I want, and what I think looks good, and what I think I will enjoy. And sometimes that means people are going, why are you doing this, Badgers? That's absolutely mental. So, interesting. So, here we are. Anyway, so we'll come on to that a little bit after this. War Bond's the same as last year, and this is interesting. So we'll go and look at my War Bonds in just a little while. So, Origin ships then available. We all know what they are, right? You've got the 100 series, we have the 300 series, the 400, the thumbnail, the very, very pretty touring ship, which unfortunately was originally sold with a lot of redundancy in its components, so it had a lot of two of everything. That has since changed and caused a lot of consternation, unfortunately, between consternation, not constellation, amongst 400i owners, and that's, I feel a bit bothered for them because that's a bit of a shame. There's the 600i Explorer, which is where the Warbond sits today, the Touring, the 85X, the 890 Jump, and then the much talked about but not here yet G12 series. Okay, and then a couple of their other bits and pieces kicking around again, and that completes the whole lineup for them. And that's it. I'm not sure if some of these paints are coming back. I'm looking for the ones that say time limited or limited time only. Doesn't seem to be many, so if they brought them back, they brought them back full time, which is nice. Got rid of my 400i for the 600i, says Teapot. Interesting. 600i after the rework is good, says Neil. It's got a tier 2 medbed and it fits a Nova tank. Interesting. If it fits a Nova tank, that's sizable. The 315p with the optional Class B stealth component pack is very good for drug smuggling some patches. If that's your thing, absolutely. So, let's have a look then. The 600i Explorer. So, I think it was quicker to go this way. Check my math on that. Here we go. Okay, so let's look at... So, let's see what it says here. Unfettered views, along with an included G12 ground vehicle. So you're entirely correct, Can. So there's a ground vehicle included in the pack, which makes it quite nice. Light but durable hull plating of passive weapons package to keep your crew, passengers, and up to 40 SCU of cargo safe. And then some, actually, I actually quite like the paints on this. I think they're quite nice. I think that angle here does the sterling paint a lot better because you've got that kind of blue splash along the side of the ship. Much more visible in that than you have in the other one. That's kind of really good. Good Lord. Oh dear. That's my deposit for a house right there. House or the Praetorian pack. I'm going to go a house if that's all right with everyone else. But yeah. So let's jump across. Waiting for everything to load. Internet's been a bit dodgy this morning, which is a bit of a shame. But there we go. So I'm just going to skip through. No. There we go. Back to the Warbond upgrade. So if we go to upgrade, looking at where it sits then, it sits at 475 normally, 445 Warbond. So if you can upgrade to it, you've got a $30 saving, which... It's not huge. It's not the best we've seen at that kind of level of, for the $400 to $500 ships. It's not the best saving we've ever seen, but there has seemed to be a trend in recent days moving back toward lesser war bonds. Some of them are incredible. The key thing with a lot of war bonds we find is if you get them before the ship is released, you can get much greater savings than the ships that are already flyable. Obviously, the 600 we're looking for a rework. So you may see a price increase after the rework is completed. Calco says, you'd think for the price of a new CPU, you'd get lifetime insurance instead of just 10 years. Yeah, that. So, yeah, the way, for those that aren't aware, the way lifetime insurance always works is ships on release or ships going to concept. So when they are first sold, there's always a lifetime insurance package for new money, for war bond. That's the description of war bond. So a war bond CCU is an upgrade. That's all. That's when I say CCU, for those that aren't aware, CCU just means upgrade. All right, so an upgrade from one ship to another ship. So a war bond upgrade is one that is bought with real money. So for example, with this one here, if I was to do this with store credit, if I was to melt one of my ships down, I'd pay I'd pay whatever the difference is between the ship I'm upgrading and this ship. Okay. If I'm buying, if I'm paying with new money rather than store credit, then I only pay the difference up to 445. Okay. And you can no longer go across. So if I've got a ship at 445, I can't go across to this one, and you can't go down. So yeah, or you can no longer go sideways. So what they used to call a zero value CCU. Interesting. So Teapot talks about why people play the CCU game and why these war bonds are so useful. Okay, because people go, well, the war bond stuff, you've always got to put new money in. Yes, you have, but people play this whole game with them. So Teapot says the 600i CCU, the cost should be £433.20. He's got it for £205.20, saving of £228, and that will be through various things. So, I'm not going to ask you specific details, Teapot, unless you want to share them. But that might be because you get a referral ship that obviously gives you a certain amount of value. You start off low, and what you do is you buy these Warbond CCUs, which means you're getting $10 off here, $20 off there, and a lot of steps means you can save a lot of money. We have seen, for example, some sub $100 passes because of the CCU game, and a lot of that is very rare, and that's not something that everyone can build, but people have achieved it. So some of that is quite scary. It's a long chain, says Mad Teapot. Played over time. So Bounty SC says exactly that. His purchase is $155 for a ship that first sold at whatever it was, 625, 675. Has achieved it for 155. Incredible saving. Well done, mate. Malemba says my purchase cost me 290 US because of the CCU change, so it can have value. And this is where hopefully a couple of you were thinking about this and going, well, hang on, they've just told us there are some price increases going up, and this is the last chance we have to get them at their current price. Yes, absolutely, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. It is, but years of CCU stacking, not applying CCU, lol, patience is the key. Yes. So when you buy an upgrade, they are not necessarily applied. Sorry, not necessarily. They are not applied straight away. So, for example, if I was to now take my reclaimer and upgrade to the Warbond version, right? What would happen is I would still have my reclaimer, it would still be there. There would be an upgrade in my hangar, and I would have to apply it manually to replace my reclaimer with a 600i. So that's how the CCU game works, and we'll look in a little bit in much more detail at my fleet and what I've got at the moment and what I call, or what not what I call, what are called speculative CCUs, which is buying a CCU purely on the basis of knowing that it's going to change in value. And that actually, in and of itself, can produce some very interesting results. And I'll show you one example of that in just a second. What I am going to do is I'm just going to go into my hangar on another screen, and I'm going to check where my CCUs are and see if I can show you this without risking my account. Okay, so I've gone to my upgrades page, so I've got all my upgrades there because it shows you the value. And what I'll do is, as long as no one goes, don't do that, badges, because you'll damage yourself. There's that. Shut up, Can. just shut up. The only reason I've mentioned that is because I don't want anyone else doing it, thinking they're getting me that thing, and then discovering that I've already got it, and then feeling seen off because they did it. But just for you, Can, because you asked the question. I don't want to talk about that anymore. All right, that's the last time we're talking about that. So there's that. Solar Monk, welcome in, my friend. Thanks. I forgot about the Usos Prowler futility in my hangar. CCUing it now. Oh, you monster! I love the Prowler utility. I think it's great. How very dare you, sir? No, good. If there's the ability to replace ships that you're not sure about, or that you know have changed, or that you got thinking they were going to be awesome and they weren't, then the CCU game's actually quite useful for that sort of stuff. And of course, you don't need to put new money in for these things. What was great is back in the day, I put about $100 into the game, and I just had it as play money. So I would buy something for a patch, and I would then melt the ship, get the credit back, and then go buy something else with store credit. And that worked really well. And it gives you the option then to go and try these things, and use them as and when you want to, without really committing cash. Of course, not everyone's going to have the ability to just throw $100 at the game, but let's be real. This particular crowd, looking at who we're talking to, it's that we're not talking about all of us, are we? So permanent addition to your fleet. Shut up, Cam. Love is in the air, says Bounty. This is true. I feel you, Max style. I just don't have use for it with all the other cool ships. 100%. And to be absolutely clear, Solar. I love the Prowler dropship. I just it just floats my boat. It does something for me. So having a utility and something that I can use a lot more at the minute, I'm appreciating that. I'm really enjoying the utility for things like ASD to pop a CCU crate or two in there and just become the loot goblin I was always meant to be. So there's that. So that's Origin. Not huge amounts of news for today, as we were all expecting. I don't think there's anything kind of surprising in this. Maybe there are paints coming back. To be honest, if paints are your thing, I know the paints that I like and I know the paints that I don't, but I don't know enough about which ones have come back that weren't available and now available again. If anyone else has got any tips like that, feel free to put them in the chat so everyone else can benefit from your knowledge. But that's it. So yes, there's that. So the Wastelander SC says, I swiped the card hard on the Perseus with Stormcloud paint when it was first announced. Now the Stormcloud paint is going for $150 plus on the black market. Win-win. Yeah, so the grey market, being able to sell stuff between people is definitely on there. I got mine on the grey market with the help of Edison. Edison got me my Thundercloud paint. Yes. And to be honest, I looked at all the other paints, and there's some that I actually quite like the look of, but then I had an attack of common sense and went, when am I ever taking the Thundercloud paint off my Perseus? The answer to that is never. That's not a promise. That's just I love the Thundercloud paint more than I do the others. So I just don't know why I would take the Thundercloud paint off. So there's that. So that's cool. Sorry, did you not say Thundercloud in the Stormcloud paint? Yeah, sorry. I read Thundercloud. I didn't even see that you'd said Stormcloud, but yes, that's it. No worries at all. Yeah, so that's Origin, and that's everything else that's come today. The 600i is an interesting point to sit. I think it sits at 475 anyway, right? The big thing at the moment, the reason they both say that there's a deal is because normally you get 6 months insurance. Is even with it looks like even with the normal upgrade you get more insurance. Oh no, you just get the name reservation. Yeah, so it said limited time offer. Does that mean that's not the normal price that it is? Oh, sorry, Edison. I thought you picked it up from the grey market. Okay, no worries. If you had it, then awesome. Thank you very much for that. I'm not the grey market. I'm your friend. I don't know. I feel like you do so many wheeler deals that you could be a grey market all by yourself. But that's that. So yeah, just a limit. So yeah, limited time CCU. Okay. So there's that. And that's where it kind of sits. So I'm just going to scroll down. Apologies for the sound of the scroll wheel in the background, but that's where it sits anyway. And what you look to do generally with the CCU game is you try and include as many steps as possible. People who are in the CCU game will roll their eyes at you for, well, why didn't you CCU it? You could have saved hundreds of dollars. Look, if you're just one of those people who looks at it and goes, I want it and I want it now and I don't want to faff around with the CCU game, perfectly valid. As long as you can afford it. As long as you're not leaving yourself out on the street trying to play Star Citizen. Macho, hello, my friend. Good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. I was shocked by the price increase of the Perseus. That was a big increase, to be fair. That was a big increase. $125. And that's something that we'll have a look at in just a second. So whilst we're talking about it then, I'm going to pop this across onto this page. So this is my hangar and here are my upgrades. Okay, so what we can see here is you can tell how much you pay for it because your exchange value, your melt value, okay, to give it its other phrase, okay, is will tell you how much you paid for it. Okay, because when you exchange it, you'll always get back the money you paid. So you can't use it as a money generator. You can't go, hey, I'll pay $30 for the war bond upgrade to the 600i, and when it goes back to its normal price, that becomes $70 because there's a $40 difference. You can't, or $30 difference. You can't do that. What you can also see here is you have an option to apply the upgrade. So this is what I mean about it doesn't automatically upgrade your ship, and that's why people sit on this. This one, obviously, it says war bond, but even if it doesn't, you can tell it's bought with new money because you have the option to gift it. If it's bought with store credit or it's already gifted, you don't have the option to gift it again. And I'm sure if I get any of this wrong, I will be jumped on in chat very, very quickly. Ravenfort, good evening, mate. Good to see you. Welcome in. Now I had like 10. Nice. Good. I want an amble ship like the Perseus, but Polaris size. You and Edison will get on. Will get on great because you both have said that recently. So there's that stuff. Sorry, I'm just getting a couple of messages. I want to make sure I'm not missing things. Thank you. Yes, the rework images. So we'll have a look at that in a second. I just want to talk about the CCU game stuff first. So that's where we are. The other thing that you can do is you can buy upgrades for ships that you don't have. So I don't have a Carrack, but my Carrack to Perseus, okay, one here, and then I have a Perseus to Polaris Warbond edition. So the Carrack is what? Let's have a look with all the ships. If it can even be bought at the moment. Someone, if it's not on there. So what's the Carrack going for at the moment? It's about 600. 600 says Teapot. So. Good call, Bounty. Thank you very much for that. I wouldn't have mentioned it. So, if you're going to buy war bonds, buy your war bonds separately from stuff with store credit. If you pay for part of an order, even if it includes war bonds, apparently you will lose the gift option. So just be careful. Buy your war bonds separate. Always good advice. Thank you for that. So we know now that the Perseus is sat at 800, the Polaris is 975. The Carrack is at 600, okay? So my Carrack to Perseus upgrade, this is how you can make savings. If I wanted to melt that now, that's $15. So for $15, it's a $200 upgrade, okay? To step from one to the other. If we then go to the Perseus to Polaris, it's $25. So for the price of $40, you go from 600 to 975. And that's how they work, okay? And the reason that they worked so well is because you get them before they release. When the prices are close, we knew that the Polaris was going to go up in price, as they always do. When they go from concept to flyable, they always go up in price without fail. So that's where that is. And there's a bunch of other ones in there. And you know what? It's going to be far easier if we look at it like this. Okay, so here's my fleet at the moment. Okay, we have across the top here are some special cases, but across the bottom are the main ones that I have to play with. C8R, C1, Retaliator, Terrapin Medic, Connie Taurus, Reclaimer, Perseus, Guardian QI, Parallel Utility, Sulen, Atlas, MPUV Tractor, and a Pulse. Okay, the Pulse I got for one reason and one reason alone. It's an exceptionally cheap vehicle. I think it was about $25, $30, something like that, with lifetime insurance when it first came out. So what happens when you upgrade is it keeps everything else that it had. So if it came with a poster, it will always keep the poster no matter what you upgrade it to. Most importantly, it keeps whatever insurance has been attached to it. So if you CCU chain through a bunch of ships, but you started off with LTI, whatever you end up with will have LTI. It doesn't lose it because of what you're upgrading to has a lesser insurance package. If you started off with a lesser insurance package and you upgrade through something with LTI, you'll pick up LTI and you won't lose it. So that's how that works. And that's the only reason I picked up the Pulse, because it buys me an option in the future. If I want to upgrade to something and have lifetime insurance on it, I have it. Now, we don't know what the utility of lifetime insurance is going to be. We don't know if there are going to be much better insurance packages that are released with money. So maybe it saves components and cargo and it gets you back more value. There's less claim time. You don't have to pay a premium to get your ship back. Whatever it is, right? We don't know. But just in case LTI is really, really useful, that's that. Okay, so that's that. So, where's the Star Kitten? Go away, Teapot. you're absolutely a monster. Andy Benson, welcome in. Hello. Why Retaliator versus Eclipse? So I was very, very lucky. The Retaliator was a gift, but we were talking about the Retaliator, and the reason that this was gifted was I was talking about it. I love the idea of it. It feels very much to me like a futuristic B-52 bomber. The idea of people on turrets and then there being the separate torpedo officer and all that sort of stuff, all of that to me, just I like that idea of gameplay. I like a lot of people. Now I know the turrets aren't particularly effective and all that sort of stuff. And to me, the ship just generally feels like it needs a bit of a rework, both visually and internally. But that being said, I was talking about this a lot, and basically to shut me up, someone went, "Just have one for God's sake." So that's that. So yeah, so that's where we are. Yeah, so we know a little bit about how insurance is working in terms of warranties and all that sort of stuff. I still think there's a lot of scope for there to be changes within insurance and what's the words I'm looking for? And still hold true to that original vision or what they outlined last year. So yes, I think there's, like I said, there's still the options of components and cargo and everything else. So what package precisely the LTI is on top of just the fact that it never runs out, that doesn't mean it's going to be the best insurance package in the game. And I think a lot of people are kind of expecting it to be because it says lifetime. And that's just, it's describing how long it lasts, not anything else. So that's the distinction that I want to make there. Blamba says the insight skin for the person is a limited time offer, only available during IAE. Interesting. I might take a look at that then. But this is where we are. So this is my fleet as it currently stands. So each one of these ships at the moment is available to call up for me. Okay. There's a couple out here that are here because they're slightly different. So the Intrepid is a game package. So obviously concierge player, so I have the game package that was released a while back. They basically allowed us to melt our game packages into other stuff, and we got a concierge pack with the digital copy in it anyway as a thank you. This was some years ago now. The Ursa Medevac was built out of a referral Steve. Now the thing with referral tokens, so if you get a referral Steve, which was what that was, or when you get things like ships given to you through the referral program, what you can't do is melt them. So whatever you apply, you are stuck with. And whatever you add in terms of value to a referral ship, you can't then remove. You can ask customer services, but they're under no obligation to do it for you. And obviously, if you've been doing it for a long time and there's lots of CCUs, they can, within your account and applied and melted, they can reasonably assume that you knew how the CCU game worked and that actually you're just kind of trying your luck. So be careful applying upgrades to CCUs. Now, I knew I wanted to keep the Vulture as a starter kind of industry ship, so my starter Gladius became the Vulture. So I can't melt that, I can only go up from that ship. Same as a Medevac. I just think long term there's going to be some use for the ground vehicle, so I did that as well. Interesting. So needless, I'm really sorry. I'm probably killing that, my friend. But welcome in. What do you think about the fact that CIG keep referring to the 400i as a Pathfinder rather than an Explorer? Do you think it'll be able to store location data and jump point routes? Long story short, yes. I think there is going to be a specific difference, even if it is. Do you remember when at CitizenCon last year in Manchester, where they put up the all the different gameplay loops, and they had exploration, and there was all those bits coming off it, and it was this, that, and the other thing. I think Pathfinder versus Explorer will be more suited to a couple of those loops than the Explorer will be, and vice versa. The Explorer will be more suited to some. What exactly that looks like, I have no idea, but I do think Pathfinders will have their own specialization, and it very much sounds like routes and maybe mapping and all that sort of stuff. Maybe something more effective at finding jump points. You're entirely correct. What that looks like, though, I have no idea. They called Stormbreaker exploration gameplay, so I really don't think that they know at the minute, which means there's no way in hell that we do. But yes, Calco says I shouldn't have started to look through the ship store page. I have money, and the Orion is glaring a hole in my bank account. Oh, mate, careful. Again, CCU games are potentially a way to go around that. Truther, good evening. Welcome in. Good to see you. The other thing, Calco, is if you are looking at that and you can hold on, there are going to be more war bond deals in the final days of IAE. And RSI ships will come back on pledge at that point. So you might be able to again build a CCU chain that saves you money if that's what you're looking to do. There might even be one to that ship. So again, not telling anyone to do their money. I just don't want you to go without going, well, if someone had told me there were war bonds, I would have held on to the end of the IAE. That's all I'm saying about that. 400i does have a hollow table, smallest one that has one. Yeah, exactly that, and that's why I think you're there, Needlelise. I think you're Needlelise. I'm so sorry, I'm butchering that. Truther says, bit my lip and got my 890 jump war bond. Wow. Really hope it goes up in price and gets LTI. Absolutely. SC Kingdom, hello, Badger, you beauty. Thank you very much, mate. Welcome in. Good to see you. Buy CCU and sit on it, says Neil B. Pathfinder is part of the Explorer umbrella. Yep, absolutely. Also consider some ships won't make it before 1.0 as well. Yeah, so we know one in specifics. Okay, so this is my fleet. Okay, and happy to talk more about that in a second, but I just want to get through the CCU stuff because it takes ages. Right. So, here we go. This is where it starts to get confusing. Okay. These are my CCU chains. So these ships don't exist. All I'm saying here is that I own a Freelancer to Cutty Red to Vulture, Vulture to Taurus, Taurus to Vulcan. Okay. On this chain, I own a C1 to Cutty Red to Vulture to Taurus to Vulcan to Scorpius to 400i to MSR to Medevac. I own 2 to Hull B. There's my character Polaris chain that we've already talked about. The Gemini, you can see, is very useful in that sort of range where you start getting kind of to the mid 300s range. Gemini is very useful. I've got a couple of Endeavours, I've got a Crucible, and then I have a Prowler up to 600i Explorer already. So that's already part of my chain. Remember I said I was going to have a look at that? That's where that is. So what's going on here? There's a couple of things. One of the things that I find was really useful when it was explained to me was the idea of stepping off points. Okay, so this does not mean, so let's look at this chain, for example, at the moment. Okay, this is my C1, which I already own. You've seen that in my fleet, down to the Medevac, which I'd like. That chain actually had 2 stepping off points, and that was the Vulcan and the Medevac. I said when I built this chain to Cannes that I was really interested in the Vulcan and we were really interested in the Medevac. So what we did was we built a chain up to the Vulcan and we built a chain up to the Medevac. The Cutty Red is useful for a bunch of reasons. I believe it's one of the ships that's permanently available, so you don't have to wait to buy it. Some of these ships, obviously, you will do, right? Some of these ships aren't available all the time. Freelancer is also useful because it is only available at certain times. Oh, sorry, it's available all the time rather than being available at certain times. Okay, so they're quite useful. You'll see here that what happened was we upgraded to the Vulture, which was released recently, had a price increase. Connie Taurus went up in price. I was so interested in the Vulcan. We have that just in case we need it. Just in case I like the Vulcan so much, I end up wanting both ships. But someone said Um, earlier on, and I'm sorry who I forgot who said it, but someone said one of the keys with the CCU gains is not applying. Was it you, Teapot? Someone said the key to the CCU game is not applying them. And that's what's happened. So the medevac's out. I'm still sat on the C1 because I was able to change the medevac. Excuse me. Oh, sorry. I was able to try the medevac through other people, through kind of whatever. You can rent it now if you want to, all that sort of good stuff, right? You can try these ships as and when you want to, and you have them for 48 hours, and they're yours. So I didn't need to rush up to it, right? Because we already had medical gameplay. There's not a specific set of gameplay with that ship that I was unable to change. I will probably rush up to the Vulcan, okay, because that will likely be gameplay that I won't have tried if the Vulcan's released as part of that first repair, refuel, rearm gameplay. Not so much the refuel, but you get what I mean, okay? So, and the manual rearming as opposed to landing in another ship and being able to do it through your Mobiglass that they've talked about doing with some of the stuff that's coming in Nix next year. So that's where we are with that. Okay. Now there are a couple here that I call speculative CCUs. Okay. The character Perseus to Polaris was done basically because of the value in that chain. Okay. We knew when they said it was only $15 from the carrack to the Perseus. The carrack was out, unlikely to change in price too much. It might go up by a little bit. The character Perseus for $15, that was a $75 jump, so save $60 already. And we knew when the Perseus came out that it was going to go up in price again. You are locked in at that $15. That is yours. Now, it doesn't matter if they make the Perseus now $1 million. I can still apply that CCU, and that CCU becomes worth a lot ridiculously. Obviously, I'm not going to do that, right? But for the illustrative purposes, you get the point. When I got the Perseus to Polaris one, the Polaris had not been released. It was the last chance to get the war bond. If you remember, I think it was last IAE this happened. We got that upgrade, or maybe it was ILW, and they said, "Hey, this is the last chance." They put the war bond out again. With them both not being released, it was highly unlikely the Perseus was going to be worth more ever. We knew the Polaris was coming first, and again, we knew the Polaris was going to go up in price. So for the cost of $40, whatever it was, we have that chain now, which is worth $375. Looking at that, there are a couple of ships that I think are going to go up massively in value. The Hull B is one of them, and funnily enough, they confirmed that. I've owned this one for a while now. The Hull B, just looking at how much cargo it has, and look what happened with the Hull C and the Hull D, how much they went up in price. I was expecting the Hull B to do the same. I think it's going to go up considerably at the next one. And what I might even do is I might buy a war bond one if we have the option to do it. If not, I'll just buy the Cutty Red to Hull B with new money so that I can sell that, because obviously it will be worth much more. So let's say at the moment it's whatever it is, $15, $5, $10, whatever, it doesn't matter. And then it becomes worth $60. I sell it for $30. I've made $20. Someone saved $30 on a war bond or on a CCU. And that's the point of the grey market stuff. Is that even if you're not doing it for yourself, there's some money to be made there if you want to do that sort of stuff. Okay, and if you want it to be absolutely secure, you could potentially do that through a third party. Then the Endeavour is exactly the same. Now, Can cautioned everyone that there are some ships that aren't going to be released before 1.0. The Endeavour is confirmed as one of them. So the Endeavour is absolutely the long game. I think it's unlikely we get 1.0 this side of 2030. Sorry, unpopular opinion, but there we are. So this is absolutely the long game. The nice thing here is I think that's $5. Someone check my math on that. It's incredible. If you look at what it's able to do, it's incredibly low value. I think that's going to spike horrifically. And if not, all I've wasted is $5. Wasted. I want one, which is why I've got two, because one's speculative. Same Crucible, not my gameplay. I think the Crucible's going to go up in price massively. I don't know why I have a 600i. I don't know why I have a Galaxy. And the Vulture was going to be part of a chain up to the Reclaimer, but then the Reclaimer appeared in my account. Thank you, Canon Edison. So I've just got that now because it's still there. No CCU to Pioneer. No, absolutely. They've never done a CCU to the Pioneer. They've never sold one, apparently. So yeah. Special Circs, welcome in, my friend. Well, good to see you. And anyone else that I haven't mentioned and said hello to, welcome in. So yeah. Could be wrong. Let's have a look. So get a Raylan CCU. Yeah, so the ships, there's a couple of ships we know are going to go up in price. It's the Hull A, the Hull B, the Raylan, and the Raft. Because the Raft has obviously had a really good run during that last, kind of cargo set of missions that we had. So those ships are going to go up in price. So if you want to get them now, and this is the other thing that CCUs are really, really useful for. If you're sat there going, I can't afford a Raft right now, and the price is going to go up, and oh my God, I just think it's going to put it out of my price range. Perseus and the Polaris are really good examples of this. They're not in a lot of people's price range to start with, but they went out of a lot more when the price went up. What you can do is find the shortest possible gap. All right, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you what I mean, okay? So we're going to go back to the upgrades. So the way you would do this is go to all ships. I can now choose any ship available at the minute, and I think it's even more than that, right? This is a nice way of doing it because you don't have to wait for a lot of these ships to become available. Okay, so for example, as we've seen, I don't own the Star Lancer. But I'm going to select the Star Lancer, and then I can see all the available ships above it. So if you're sat there and you're looking at something like the Raylan or whatever, what you can do is you can grab a ship that's very, very close to it for a lot less money than buying it outright. You buy that CCU. Now, what you've done effectively is, let's apply this to something. So let's say, I don't know, let's do the Hull A. This will be a nice way to do it, won't it? Because we know the Hull A is going up in price. Let's do something really, really basic. Oh, I don't even remember where it sits anymore. There we go. Hull A, I've just seen it. Okay, so I want the Hull A. I don't have $90 to spend this month. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the closest ship to it. So let's take a ship. It's going to be one of these, right? The Herald, the Avenger Warlock, the Reliance Sen, whichever. So let's say I'm going to take the Herald because it's there, it might be available all the time. So now all I'm paying is the difference between one ship and the other. Ta-da! Click. Okay. So for $5, I've secured myself the price of $90. Now, all I need to do in the future is make up the rest of the money to the Herald. And that's the beautiful thing now, because what you can also do is you look down this list and go, okay, let's see one of these that hasn't released yet. Ranger hasn't released. They're going to go up in price when they release. So maybe I'll use one of those. I don't know what else in here hasn't released. I'm going to look through. I'll probably miss one and people will be like, Patches, you missed it. Okay. But you go through here and you find one of these that hasn't released. And then you use that to ride the price increase. So what you would do then is you'd either buy the Ranger or you'd upgrade something to the Ranger. Yeah, because, I mean, let's find the Pulse is where I started. So the Pulse is at $30. So I buy myself an upgrade to the Ranger, $5. It would go up, say, $5 or $10 when it comes out. So now my $30, well, I bought it at $20, $25. For the price of, let's say, $25 plus $5 to the Ranger, $30. It's now worth $40 or $45. And then you keep doing that on the way up, all the way up to your Hull A. You now have a Hull A. Doesn't matter what the price changes. They could add a 0 to the back of that. You've got it for $90. And that's one of these things that's really, really useful. And if I was to do that with new money as opposed to credit, I could gift that upgrade. So in other words, I could sell it to someone, send it to them. We split the difference maybe on what the price difference is, so I get a bit more money for it. They get a cheaper upgrade because they weren't able to secure one at the time. It works really nice. And this is the basis of the grey market. This is what happens. Okay. So that's where that comes from. And that is where, I'm just going to go back to my fleet thing. That's where all of this is coming from. So over here, I've secured a separate CCU chain up to the Vulcan because I was able to melt a significant part of the chain up to the Reclaimer. Thanks, Canon Edison. Okay, so I've got, if I really like the Vulcan, I can have the Vulcan on that chain. I can have that chain on the Medevac. And going back to here, here are the ships that I think I'm going to keep. Here are the ships and vehicles that I kind of like, but may not necessarily stay. So I've got the value in those to play around with store credit. So I could buy a freelancer with store credit, or upgrade something to a freelancer. That's a Vulcan straight away, and that's how the CCU game works. Okay, and the Herald, yeah, exactly that. So the Herald might have been a bad example in that because we know the Herald is going to change. So if the Herald comes out before the Hull A, I mean, you've still the point is you've still locked in your Hull A. The trick is to make sure you secure your Herald before it goes up in price. Otherwise, you're still playing a price increase. Does that make sense to everyone? I'm probably not doing a very good job of explaining this, but hopefully that's making sense to people. Yes, Dark Devious, it absolutely does. Welcome in, by the way, my friend. So yeah, what you'll see is some crazy packs. So apologies for this. I'm going to do this on another tab because I'm not comfortable about having my information. I hope the guys don't mind. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my Perseus and just show the chain on that because it's the best example I've got, right? Because the Perseus that I was gifted by very generous members of the community back when I was with Info Runners, as well as running my own stuff. This is a really good kind of example of, why am I doing this? I just search ships. This is a really good example of a ship that's been upgraded significantly. Okay, where are we? Pulse, Sulen, Medevac, Guardian, C1. Good lord. Perseus, here we go. Okay. So, just going to bring that across. Okay, so what you can see here, this is my Perseus, right? It started off life as a Kruger P-72 Archimedes. Okay, you can see here, contains Perseus and 6 items. So when you upgrade, you can see I've got lifetime insurance, 120-month insurance, 120-month insurance. There's the poster for the Archimedes, there's the model, there's a self-landed hangar, and the ship. So because it's been upgraded through so many different things, it's picked up all of those items, so all the different insurance packages. Obviously, the one that will be applied is the best. So the Perseus has LTI. Okay, and that's a really, really nice way. What the shock is here is if they send you this as a gift, that's what appears when it says gift on your email. That's what appears. So on my birthday a few years ago, where I got a gift sent to me, it said a hover quad, and I was like, oh, that's lovely. The guys have got me an LTI token. That's going to be really useful. I'll get to fly it around a bit. It was only when they said, have you opened that I realised it was a Reclaimer with a shit ton of insurance on it. You can even see there, it obviously went through a Spirant because there's a paint there, right? It's got an armour pack on it, and so on and so on. So it keeps everything that it has. So hopefully that's answered the question with examples. So you can actually see it. It's not just a bunch of people telling you on the internet. You're actually seeing it in someone's account. So I hope that's helpful, Devious. But yeah, there you go. So that's that. Very welcome, my friend. Very welcome. Endeavour provides nice loaners and will for some time because it's not coming out soon. Yeah, exactly. Not out before 1.0. Always best suggestions. I think you're doing a great job of explaining this. Thank you, Special. I appreciate that. I'm always very careful. I did sit down and a little bit time this morning and go through what I wanted to say because I'm always nervous about talking about money with people. So there's that. That's where we are. So good. I'm sorry, I keep flashbanging myself. I've just seen myself on the screen. I keep getting flashbanged. I need to sort the brightness out on the camera. So that's where we are. And that's everything. So this is just a really nice step up to the Valkyrie. So effectively that could be a chain there, right? If I did that, that's the same thing. Gemini to Valkyrie, Valkyrie to Gemini to Galaxy. So I own that as well in case I want it. Yeah. This program, by the way, is Hanger.link. It's Starjump Grim and his team of awesome people put this together. This is really useful. You can add any ship in the game. You can even add, certain paints. So if you go to the Perseus, I can't. There is if you take off the official, the Perseus actually has the Thundercloud paint as well. So you can see the Thundercloud Perseus. And I'd probably swap those out, to be honest. But there you go. So this is a really nice program to use and plan these sorts of things out. And that's what I do here. I'll delete selected. There we go. But those are my ships that I own. That's the CCU chains. So, yeah, that's that. Just there are some really bad points in the prices, especially when you get up around the $600 mark. Because there are not small gaps. You're talking kind of 60, 70, $80 in some cases. And that's where it becomes problematic. Also, bear in mind you cannot CCU to anything past 1,000. And certain ships, as we've already talked about, like Pioneer, just won't have CIG won't sell upgrades to them. So it's always worth going to talk to people. I am not the best person to talk to about this. I get help every time I go into this. I always speak to Can and others in my Discord. I'm sorry, Can, I'm kind of outing you here, mate. Please do not approach people about CCUs and stuff unless they've offered, or unless you jump generally in and say, is anyone available to help me? Because as Cam will tell you, he spent an awful lot of time banging his head against his desk talking to me about CCUs because I either didn't get it or I wasn't applying the principles. There's a lot, and there's stuff that I haven't covered here. So please be careful playing with this. The bottom line, guys, is I would always say, and this is as close as I'm ever going to come to advice, if in doubt, don't. And that's not Star Citizen specific. That's any time it comes to spending money on anything. If in doubt, don't. That's so generic. It's not specific. But yes, let's just be careful with what you're doing. Great job. Show you on the info runners and enjoy your takes on ships. Absolutely. Wastelanders, thank you very much. It's a really good point that you bring up the info runners. They actually have members of their community who Algrid and Execute have vetted in terms of their CCU advice, and they have a specific role within their Discord. So if you want to go search info runners on YouTube, go look at their Discord, go and ask for help. Guaranteed, even like there, I got it wrong with a Herald because I chose a ship to CCU from that's waiting its price increase, potentially, so there's that. Because we've seen a couple changes on the Herald. So yeah, you've got to be you got to be a little bit careful. I have 2 Vanguards to BMM, 3 CCUs, but unfortunately can't gift them worth 350 each currently. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The other thing is you could melt CCUs at one point, so you could melt them for store credit, exchange on the menu, and they would just become store credit. What you could do was you could go get them back at the old price. That has stopped. You now buy them back. So, for example, if I was to melt that $15 character Perseus, I don't get that price increase back again. So it would become $200. $600 character, $800 Perseus. which is why, once again, whoever it was, and apologies, I can't remember who it was, sitting on your CCUs is the most important thing you can do when it comes to this. Be very, very careful, because if you do melt them and then decide you want it back, oops. So that's where we are with all this. That's a good point. Let's have a look. Malumba comes up with a good point. I'm going to go grab that now. Okay, so there's a loaner ship matrix. If you're waiting for ships, it will tell you what you get here instead. Okay, so if you're waiting for the 600i Explorer, because you get that G12 in it, you have 600i Explorer, and the Executive Edition, you get 325A and the Cyclone. Okay, and so on and so on and so on. Okay. So, and then it says here, if there are known issues, temporary prospector loaners are being provided to the Arastra, Mole, and Orion due to issues with the mining HUD. But there you go. Okay. So often people will go, I don't know why I have this item. So if you have, for example, the Kraken or the Kraken Privateer, you have the Polaris, the C2, the Caterpillar, and the Buccaneer as loaners. Ta-da! Okay, now obviously, normally, the Mole wouldn't have a loaner because it's out. But it does because mining had issues. So there you go. Okay, and this is just the loaner ship matrix for anyone that wants to have a look. Loaner as in loan ship, not loaner as in you have no friends. Could be both. I completely get that. But yes. And do you know what? How's this for a segue? If you are struggling for friends with which to play Star Citizen, you know where you are always welcome. That's DGP, link to the Discord down below. You are more than welcome to jump in and join us. Yeah, we'd be happy to have you. Normal rules apply. Don't be an asshole, and we'd love to have you. So there's that. Yes, really good point. Don't buy on the basis of what a what a ship's loaner is, because they can change it at a moment's notice, and they also say here, don't expect up to date ship loaners in the PTU. Right? They don't commit to that, so be careful. And there are a bunch of rules in here as well. Okay. So there's that. Cool. Makes sense, everyone? Everyone happy? We all good? Good. Right. So there's that. And that's the CCU stuff. That's all that kind of good stuff. And that's where we are at the moment with the fleet. The interesting thing at the moment is, like, where would I go next? Right. And I'm going to get rid of the. I'm going to go back to official only, because it just makes the list easier to. I'm just going to scroll down and look at the sort of ships that I'd be potentially at this point in time interested in picking up and having a look at. I just love the fact that you can do things like that. Like, yeah, I'll have that one. Let's go with that. I'll have a Bengal, please. And yes, before anyone asks, I think the retribution is in here. Yeah, it is. There you go. Ta-da! So the retribution's a thing. There we go. So, Gib, CIG, Gib. So yeah, I'm really happy with my fleet at the minute. I recognise fully that I have a glut of medical ships, especially when you consider that the medevac is in there. The problem at the moment, so here's what I have. I love the Terrapin medic. Right? I love it. I love the Terrapin. I've loved the Terrapin for love you a long time. I've loved the Terrapin. I'm so sorry. I've loved the Terrapin for a while. I love the look of it. I love the utility of the medic version. I think that's great. And I think when that kind of scanning, when they finally nail scanning, and that's going to be a little while yet, I think the base Terrapin as a recon ship is going to be one of the most invaluable assets a fleet can have, bar none. There is absolutely no substitute for intelligence in warfare. None. Knowing where your enemy is and what they're doing is such a force multiplier. It's untrue, and any vet in here will tell you the same thing. So yeah, shut up, Malemba. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna get rude now. Anytime anyone mentions that fucking thing, you're just gonna get shut up, all right? And I'm not sorry. I'm not. It's not even sorry, not sorry. Just not sorry. Stop it. So yeah, so there's that. So the Retaliator, I really like the strike idea. Sure, the Eclipse is stealth and all that sort of stuff, but as we said, space B-52. The C1 is really odd. So the C1 I picked up on I think it was a war bond, or a limited time offer. I don't think I had it at release, and since flying the Spirit, I've fallen in love with it. The Connie Taurus is kind of as big on hauling as I want to go, because loading that up during the pyro thing was, oh my god, it just made my eyes bleed. But there's that. The Reclaimer, love it. The alien aesthetic, and that ship I can absolutely see doing with a group of 4 or 5 friends, just going around running that thing, going to high risk kind of salvage spots, getting high value components, like, and then just the ability to change around. So whoever's doing the stripping jumps in to be the claw operator. Someone jumps in to control the UAV. Someone else is jumping out, or the drones jumping out to do the to go on board and look at the salvage internal. The Reclaimer, yes, it needs a lot of work, but oh my god, I think that ship's going to be so much fun as a non-combat ship to run. The Perseus. The Perseus is beautiful in all aspects. She's beautiful for gameplay, she's beautiful for feel, she's beautiful for aesthetics, she's beautiful for internals. Perseus is love, Perseus is life. Guardian QI, my as you can see, kind of my only fighter at the moment, and actually with a pair of attritions on it, it's fucking brutal, and she's tanky. So I like that, and I need to be tanky because I'm not great at dodging stuff. As people saw yesterday in the Perseus, I kind of went face to face with an asteroid. Survived, but yeah, got to be careful with shit like that. Prowler utility, I really like it as a low risk, stealthy ship to move around. She strikes me as like a dungeoneering ship, like a group going in getting loot. Because the idea that you put 5 people on it for 32 SU a cargo doesn't make sense. So obviously the role for the 5 people is to go into places like ASD, fight through, have a decent chance of making it out alive, bring out all the loot, rinse and repeat. That's why I like the utility. Vulture, my starter industry ship. I think it's really important for a lot of fleets, not everyone, to have a ship they can do solo or with another person to earn money on a regular basis. I know there's an attitude of buy big and earn down. I don't think this game is going to be that simple. I think, yes, it works as long as you can have the crew, but those big ships are going to be expensive to run. And I also think, if you look at something like the Reclaimer, it's going to take many hours to fill for a decent sized crew. Trying to do that by yourself might get to the point where you're only barely making enough in one play session to break even. So I think you've like the buy big earn down makes sense in a game principle sort of idea. I don't think it necessarily works on a 1-to-1 level, right? As a single player. So I think you've got to be careful with that. Yeah, as a medevac, I think that's going to be useful. I think there's going to be places where we can go where ships cannot, and the medevac then begins to earn its keep massively. The Atlas is so cheap in game at the minute, I don't really think I'm going to need to keep the Atlas bought version. I think buying one in game is going to be fine. Having said that, for the price that it is, given the fact that we need to worry with warranties and all that sort of stuff, maybe necessarily needing to get out of a place very, very quickly and leave the Atlas behind and worry about then having to claim insurance and stuff. And if you haven't put a warranty on it, you're going to need to buy a new one. Maybe the Atlas is just going to be easier. MPUV tractor, I'm there to help other people's Idrises out by putting my MPUV tractor in their bay. And I think that's going to be a really useful workhorse when it comes to base building and moving stuff around. So yeah, happy you addressed that earn down thing, Luna. Luna, welcome in. Good to see you. Wiggy, good to see you, my friend. Yeah, I'm going to call it like I see it. So, just got a scarab. I'm in salvation. My dodgy little salvage bug. Nice. Is it dodgy or doogie? Doogie? What? Yeah, that. I mean, dodgy works, right? So there's that. The Asgard. I'm going to call it the Asgard teapot. Was good for the resource drive missions. Yes, it is, Luna. So these are the ships that I own. That mess on the right from this side onwards is my CCU game stuff. But yes, that's my fleet as it stands. Yeah. So that just walking around mine now. That's the Perseus, right? Yeah, absolutely. For Friday Night Ops, everyone must come dressed in the kit and racing suit if they have one. Nope, absolutely not. Stop it. Stop it. Devious says, I talked horrible about the Prowler utility until we got used to, until we used it to get in and out stealthily. And let me tell you, we had guys on us like real players and we managed to get out of there safely. Doogie. Doogie? Wiggy, help me. I'm not familiar with that word. I'm butchering it and I know you're sat there laughing, you monster. But there you go. So yeah, the Prowler Ute makes you an honorary Aussie. Well, thank you very much for that. There's a joke in there about criminals that only Brits and Aussies will understand that I'm not going to make, but you get my point. Much love, mate. But yes, so the Prowler utility, I'm really pleased with it. I think it's great. Other than also the fact that I've got a mate that I play with, and every time I open up the cargo bay and it does that like alien finger thing, I can actually hear him retch. So that's worth it just for that. So yeah. Oh, Doogie. Hard G. Gotcha. Gruka, welcome in. Good to see you. Good evening. Welcome in. We're just talking absolute bollocks at the minute, mate. I'm sorry. But talking about my fleet and where I'm going. And what I was going to do was very quickly just scroll through the hangar.link website and just see if there's anything else that I wanted to add. It's really interesting watching this sort of stuff and thinking about what you want to keep and might not want to keep. So the Connie Taurus I really enjoy. I'm probably going to hold on to it for the rework, but my love for the Connie Taurus is beginning to drop off. I think because it's so old and it has some issues. Loading cargo into it is not fun. There are real issues trying to load that last rack of, or the last kind of file of cargo right up to the top. You cannot, as far as I can see, get cargo into that secret bay at the back and fill it up as it should be filled up because there's not enough space between the door and the front of the rack. So once you've got one SCU left in the corner, you can't fit it in round the corner like that. And there are real problems using two SCU containers because the doors either won't open because you're not close enough to trigger them to open, or they start to close and you get all sorts of collision issues if you go in backwards and then there's not enough room. So there's that. Yeah, the other thing, D Chippy, just mate, do me a favour, turn the engines and the power off. Go into the captain's cabin and stand as close to the bed as you can possibly get. Maybe even sit on it and just listen. Tell me what you hear. See if you hear the same thing that we do. You'll be amazed. I think Star Citizen are poking the fun at the people who spend a lot of money in Star Citizen. Give it a go. Let me know what you think you hear. Because we all heard it. I thought I was going mad. I wasn't. Connie Phoenix is where it's at. Although my Connie Phoenix Emerald just got destroyed by interdicting pirates who tried to talk to me. They tried to talk to me. The horror. No, why aren't you just killing me? Why do I have to interact with you? So many cargo ships have aged badly because of them being designed before manual cargo loading. Yeah, 100%. And I'm really hoping they'll fix it. The Connie Taurus was the first real ship I went, I must own that. I got my hands on it in the verse back when I first pledged in 2017, and I fell in love. It's a shame, but I notice in myself I'm hardly pulling that ship now. So yeah. I mean, there's a couple of ships in here I look and I go, oh yeah, I know I'm a bit of a sadist, but I like hard to handle ships. The Caterpillar was good fun pulling that. That might be something that I'll have a play with at some point. Although I probably will, again, that's going to be an earning game for me, I think. There is one ship in here I am really interested in. The Endeavour, I actually kind of want one of those, which is why I have two of the CCUs in my fleet right now. Oh, that's the one that, where are we? Tempted to look at the Expanse for refining gameplay when that arrives. So I'm tempted to give that a go. That looks interesting. To go a little bit more on the industry side. I think, and this goes back to part of the thumbnail for this video is, or the title for this video is Origin to Posh. I think the problem at the moment is so much of Origin's lineup is not quite there because the exploration pathfinding gameplay isn't there, and the Starliner is the same thing. We don't have a lot of this VIP kind of travel stuff, so we've got this beautiful 890 jump, and there's nothing to do with it. You know, there's nothing it does that other ships don't do better right now, other than look beautiful interior, and have that real kind of like location spa thing. When they introduce those game loops, that might be really good fun. But there's that. Yeah, exactly, D Chippy. That's exactly what you heard. I think they're poking fun at Star Citizen Wales. That's exactly what we heard too. I'm going to make a short on it. They try and raise awareness and see what the hell CIG are playing at. But they had a hotfix since the Perseus release, since we heard it, and the hotfix did not remove it. I checked this morning, so it's still there. Don't care. I'm getting an 890 jump. Yeah, Cordovan, absolutely. And none of this. Like, one of the things I hate is when people get really excited for a ship and everyone else jumps on it. It's like, it's people's hobby. Let people enjoy things. If 890 jump is your ship for whatever reason, 100% you go for it. What's the word I'm looking for? At the moment, I'm reflecting on it in terms of gameplay, and I think that's why the Genesis Starliner, it's one of those things where I go, I'd be interested to see, but until that gameplay comes in, I'm not interested enough to kind of go and buy it, and that's where we are in the conversation at the minute. So yeah, yeah, really, really nice. So yeah, lots of love for the Endeavour, and again, that's why that's in my my fleet. I really enjoyed the Hawk. I really like that idea, and okay, we can't do it at the moment, but I really like that Blade Runner feel of folding it up, landing in a street, and then going after a mark. I think that's great. If that ever comes in, the Hawk I think is going to jump massively in my ships that I like to own. I like the Herald. I want to see what data running looks like before we come to that, but I'm interested. I kind of like the look of the Hull A, I'm not going to lie, so I might take my own advice and lock it in at $90. The big ships I'll get to. Big ships like the Idris M, and the Javelin, all that sort of the really big stuff, I'm going to look at as stuff that I'm going to earn in game. That's the mission. I want something to earn up to. Kraken, it's Drake. Now, I obviously don't have a problem with Drake. Because of Herald and stuff like that, and Caterpillar, but as a carrier goes, I want something a little bit more military themed than what the Kraken appears to be at the moment. Like the idea of the Legionnaire, love that idea of boarding. That might be something that I look to, and well, I mean, just Jesus, if you don't like the idea of the Merchantman, are you even a Star Citizen player? We got a couple Merchantman owners in chat, right? Sick of my tack, willing to remove it from my fleet. Yeah, absolutely. And do you know what? That's the other danger with the CCU game, is that ships built on CCUs, if you melt them, you don't get those savings back. So you will obviously get the store credit of everything you paid to achieve that ship, but then you can't rebuild them. So again, that's often why a lot of people say be careful about applying SCUs. Oh, sorry, CCUs. SCUs? CCUs. My Banu Merchantman, says Wiggy, will be entirely crewed with Space Cats. Absolutely. More military themed. It's an aircraft carrier. How much more military themed can you get? Yeah, so the idea of a lot of carriers is to have consistent flight ops. And the Kraken, it just doesn't feel like that's going to achieve it. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. Maybe I'm just anti. I don't know. I mean, hey, look. I tell you what. When the Kraken gets released, and the fact that they're working on it, it might not be as far away as some people think. When the Kraken gets released, I might eat my words, and that's fine. I mean, I won't be buying one because I'm saving for a house, and that's a significant portion of that. But yeah, maybe the Kraken will end up being that, and absolutely. So yeah, I see what you mean. Carriers are only ever military. I'm with you there. Um, but he said right, not my thing at the moment. So there's a Kraken. Let's keep going now. The Mantis, I think, is just going to become core, or any other ship that has the ability to pull people from Quantum, but it doesn't float my boat. The Nautilus, absolutely not. Don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about the Nautilus. It might be one of those ships that until it comes out, I don't like it, and then it comes out and I do. And this is the beautiful thing, right? Is that I'm more than willing to change my mind on this sort of stuff. So there's that. Nautilus is the ship, says Ignosia. We've got a Nautilus fan in chat, and absolutely. Got a BMM. The tack will suck until atmospheric flight, until JT. Sorry, jump time. Right? Is that what you mean? Sorry, I don't want to get it wrong there, Ignosia, but yeah. Pretty Bob, welcome in as well. BMM, yeah, absolutely. So, just so we're aware, this line up here, and that is my fleet, these are ships that I'm saying that I'm interested in looking at and acquiring at the moment. And vehicles, although at the moment it is only ships. So that's where we are with that stuff. The Odyssey, do you know what? I think my love, or sorry, my interest in the Odyssey was spawned purely because people crapped on it so much when it comes out, and I love an underdog story. So I got so into defending it. I'm interested in seeing what it looks like when it comes out. I'm sure I'll be like, and that'll be the end of that. But I want to see what the Pegasus looks like, although I don't think we're going to get that sold. Although they have talked about an escort carrier. That might be the Pegasus. It might be an older version that's no longer used by the military. We'll see. Pioneer. I know a lot of people like it. Not sure for myself whether it's going to fit what I want, so I'll leave that one off the list for now. Do you know what? The Raylan. Again, I know people like it. Please don't ever take me going, I don't want it, as me crapping on it. That's not what I'm doing. But the Raylan, I think I'd be more interested in it now because of the price increase than I actually wanted it. Right. I think it's the Mako. The Mako's got to go on that list, right? Because of its role, the fact that it's basically a reporter ship. It's got a camera pod on it and everything, and I want to see what that. I think if they properly think about that gameplay and incorporating that into the verse, news channels, stuff like that, even if they let us only do it on YouTube, that sort of stuff, that could be a lot of fun. So that's why the Mako, I always, every time it comes to Reliant, the Reliant series, I talk about the Mako every single time. So sorry. Let's have a look. What else have we got in here? I like flying the Saber, but I'm going to leave it alone for the time being. Spirit I enjoyed. Starfarer I think is going to be useful just because it's really one of the only kind of ships that sits in that niche at the moment. That and the Ironclad sit in that fleet resupply niche, right? Maybe there are a couple of others now. The Vulcan will sit in that niche, but we've already got the Vulcan on the list. Let's have a look. What else is? Yeah, that. The Terrapin. That's going to be invaluable. I like the Sentinel because it's electronic warfare, and they've got some interesting plans for electronic warfare. If you go and have a look, am I missing any ships? I don't know. Am I missing ships, Del? I don't think I'm missing any ships. I think that's it, right? Intrepid, Vulture, Ursa. What ship am I missing? Starfarer makes me sad right now. Hope they rework it, says Woody. Yeah, that they have to do the interior. They themselves have said the interior is crap. And it was built as an FPS level, not as a ship. So if they don't redo it, I will be very, very shocked. I really think they put themselves in a position where they need to. Maybe a bike. There you go, Del. There's your bike. All right? Are you happy now? Are you happy now? Can we leave this alone now? Can we forget it? Yes. Thank you. Good. So yeah. So there's that. Yeah, sorry you had to see that, everyone else, but yeah, people know that I've told people that if they show up in Star Kit and outfit, they're out of the org because I fucking hate it. I know I say I don't dunk on anything. I fucking dunk on Star Kitten. It's shite. So yeah. Yeah, special, exactly that. Beautiful. I want a Star Kitten livery for my 890 jump. Do you know what? It's amazing how quickly you can go off people. So yeah. Oh, you monsters! You absolute monsters! Star Kitten ship paint for the purchase is needed. I'm going to start timing people out. Admin abuse. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Anyway, moving swiftly on. So yeah, I think that's where I am in the ships, and I might have missed one or two, but the fact that you know, I'm trying to read through this as quickly as I can. I tell you what, not for combat. I looked at the Stinger in the hall, and I really like the look of it. And I think the interior, if that's what the interior of Vandal ships is going to look like, holy moly, it's going to be terrifying fighting on those things. So it's not necessarily in there for that, but yeah, it looks interesting. And I think it's just a great looking ship, interior, exterior. Even though there's not much inside it, it's scary enough that it gives you a really good kind of insight into what they're going to do with the interior of Vandal ships. You can just imagine going into spaces and then just attacking from the shadows and realize you were stood in the room with them all along, and they're just using the shadows to hide and assault you. Yeah, absolutely terrifying. So that's that. Maybe the Wolf goes on there after I fly it. Do you know what? The other ship that I really like, and less so now that there's the Perseus, but the Hammerhead. I kind of like those. I think there's a lot of use for them. They just need to be less crap. Oh, and the Gladiator. So we've gone a lot more into the combat there, and I think a lot of the times I'm not so much bothered with the combat because they are lower, apart from the Perseus, obviously, they are lower end priced ships. Um, and you know they're easier to acquire at short notice. I don't need to be so worried about them. And the other ship that I absolutely love, but it's just so expensive for what it is the Prowler. So expensive for what it is. There's alien tax, there's dropship tax, there's combat tax, there's all sorts of extra prices on that for what it currently is able to do. But I love it. So that's where we are. I'm going to upgrade my wolf to the Talon. Interesting, Nevius. Nice choice. This has been fun. I have to leave now. How often do you do this? So special. I don't know if we'll probably do a little bit tomorrow. It probably won't be as long as this. But we will have a look at the Drake stuff. Sorry. So every time we get a new ship, so tomorrow will be a big one because it's the Drake Clipper and it's the Golomox. We'll do that tomorrow. The other days it might just be half an hour or so, but. So IAE there'll be a lot of it, and it'll be at 1600 when the or when the new sale goes on. I'll be here live. Other than that, every Sunday 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. UK time, I'm on stream. So you're more than welcome in. We'd love to have you, mate. You've been an absolute pleasure to be around. So yeah, there you go. Hey Horlux. So 600i is the War Bond special today, so you can buy a War Bond upgrade to it. but it's not in the hall. The rework is still ongoing, and we're gonna see that at some point in the future. There's been so little news on it. I would say don't expect it anytime soon. So yeah. Also, a star kitten weapon and meows each time it fires. Thanks, socially. Go away. So there's that. Yeah, absolutely. Stinger is gorgeous visually and sound. Just isn't in a good place right now. That's what I understand. I haven't flown one yet, but that's what I understand of it. I'm looking forward to flying one, and depending on how much I love it, I might actually end up making a video on it. But yes, we'll see. The F8 would like a word about being quite teapot. Absolutely. I think the reason I don't necessarily think about the F8 is because I have no intention of buying that. I'm earning that in game. But looking forward to the skin. Everyone know you're getting the skin. If you did the golden ticket thing, just redeemed a golden ticket, it looks like you will get the skin, the Nightweave skin for F8, whether you have it or not. That's the way the wording looks at the moment. So if you get one in the future, if you earn the F8 Lightning through playing Squadron 42 and doing the specific achievements in game that you need, you'll then unlock the ability to buy it in the verse for UEC. And that skin will then become really useful. So yeah, free skin actually looks really good. If you go to the hall, it's the skin it's displaying at the moment. That is the Nightweave skin. It says it on the little poster thing. Looks really good. It's nice that it's got it's got like lightning written. It's got 8 on a couple of the wing foils that stick out. So yeah, it's really cool. So yes, anyone that owns an F8 until now. So if you've ever pledged for one, if you've ever gotten one through Concierge, and it seems, if you ever found the golden ticket for the F8 or the Platinum one and redeemed them, from the wording, it looks like you didn't even need to buy it as long as you've unlocked that, because they've removed the golden ticket requirement from the verse right now, and all you need to do now is buy it. As a thank you for those people who went the extra step of the golden ticket, for those that have bought enough, for those that have bought, to get the concierge version, or versions, plural, for those that have bought it in game or got the platinum ticket and got awarded one for getting that back to a station. Yeah, you're going to get a skin. And that's the wording. So in the Q&A about it, if you look down maybe 10 posts, there's a response from Freya, CIG, saying if you redeemed the golden ticket, even if you then, so redeeming was taking it to a rental terminal, handing it in, you then got it for 24 or 48 hours. I can't remember which. So yeah. The skin will be nice, but 300 bones for a fighter means it's an in-game earning game for me too. Absolutely that. I've only looked at the clipper at the halls. Yeah, so as you look at the clipper, if you look off to the left and back a bit, there's the Golem Ox, which is the other Drake ship that's coming. Concierge program needs a rework. You can end up with 2 F8s and still get 1 skin. Yeah, I mean, I guess you can only fly one at one time, but yeah, it will be a pain to change it off one and put it on the other. You're right. My Liberator assault carrier is going to rule the skies as your Perseus dies. Monster, you can dream, my friend. You can dream. My Perseus would like to reply with 4 Medusa cannons. Astra, welcome in, my friend. And Monster, good to see you, buddy. And everyone else. All I fly around now is C1. Gruka, I am right there with you. I love the C1. It was part of a CCU chain. I wanted to get, so I was flying the Freelancer, bizarrely, and then I went to the C1 just as a cargo, like daily flyer. Love it. Absolutely love it, to the point I'm thinking of keeping it. But yeah, I'm right there with you, bud. So yeah. I can't see anything beyond the massive brick that is the Clipper. Very Star Wars. Skins will probably work very differently when Carson comes into the game. Possibly. I'm hoping so. Skins will be turned into pattern recipes, so you only need one. Yeah, I'm thinking that's the likelihood of it, right? So yeah, I certainly hope so. So yeah, that's that. That's where we are. So minus all this. So if I don't know, just grab these and try and can't remember how you grab more than one at a time. So let's get rid of like the wish list or the ships I'm moderately interested in. No, you're not gonna clear selection. I clicked the wrong thing. Well, here you go. This is peak stream. This is watching me click things and then screw up clicking other things. How's that? Did we enjoy that? Was that fun? Good. Leave a like, or I'll do it again. Sorry. Yeah, I'm already going loopy, and it's only day 2. Good. Right. So that's the fleet at the moment. There's the CCU madness. There you go. So that's where we are with the fleet. The last thing it's worth showing, because we've already had. I have to go and cook your ticket. D Chippy, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for coming in, friend. Good to chat to you, and I hope to see you again soon. Yeah, so there's that sort of stuff, and then we've got some of the rework images. So this is the stuff that's being reworked for the 600i. As you can see from Star Citizen Live, looking quite nice internally, looking fairly tastefully done. So yeah. And then, of course, very, very quickly, we have news about what's happening in 4.5. We've got engineering coming in the next patch. We have fire coming in the next patch. And we have physicalized helmets. The ability to put it on physically, the full thing being rendered. When you put it down, it won't just be a box anymore. You'll be carrying it on your hip. You'll be being able to place it, just like any other physical item in the verse. So that's quite exciting too. The turn the helmet round, flip it and catch it, and then put it on. Obviously got big cheers the first time they saw that. It's finally going to be in our hands. And the only reason I say that is because staring at this, I was looking at the armor on the table, and it reminded me. So yeah, lots of good fun, lots of things to look forward to. Again, obviously for me, the 600i war bond, I've already got one, so I'm not going to bother doing that again, because I don't see where that would be useful for me. But that's where we are. Hoping that you enjoy the next day of IAE. Looking forward to seeing you all again tomorrow. If you want to come back, we're going to do the Drake stuff. We're going to look at the Clipper. We're going to look at the Golem Ox. If there's anything else people want to discuss, pop suggestions in the Discord, pop it in the comment to the video, whatever. I'm more than happy to have that chat with you guys. But yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I will make sure that I am positioned in the hall, ready to go tomorrow, so we can go and have a look first person at the Clipper, first person at the Golem Ox, and see where they sit into things. As a comment then, let's have a think. If you're watching this now, if you watch this afterwards, leave a comment. What do you think the Clipper's going to come in at price-wise? And then we'll see where we are tomorrow, and I'll call out everyone that won. And if there's some really silly ones, we'll call those out too. So there we go. What do you think the Clipper will come in at price-wise tomorrow? Has a med bed, has a crafting station, 3 decks inside, which is just crazy. Looks like it's got about 6 or maybe even 12 SCU of cargo space. Let me know what you think. Thanks, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's really good fun to spend some time with you in the evenings having a look at it. $1 billion this socially. Going to call that one out. So yeah, Mad Teapot says I'll be buying them. You can always borrow them. Awesome. Thank you, mate. I appreciate that. And the same, if anyone wants to borrow ships in the Discord, I'm sure people will be happy. Links in the description below. Come in, say hi, let us know, and we'll get you a ship to have a fly around in, I'm sure. Thanks very much, guys. You've been watching Drinkers with Gaming Problems. Thank you very much for stopping by. I'll see you soon.